I call this meeting to order. Please stand for the national anthem. National anthem. Tim's getting it.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. Ivy, would you please do the roll call?
Director Barnes.
Here.
Director Beck.
Here.
Director Hayes.
Here.
President Klein-Jerome.
Here.
Vice President Postian.
Here.
Director Potts.
Here.
Director Yonke.
Here.
Director Postian, would you please read the mission and vision statement?
Mission statement: the Davenport Community School District is dedicated to growing excellence in academics, the arts, and athletics for every child by ensuring the highest quality education in an environment shaped by our diverse community, preparing our students to be lifelong learners and productive citizens. Vision statement: education that challenges conventional thinking, prepares all students to compete in a global society, and inspires our students, parents, and staff and community to answer the question, what if?
Thank you. Director Beck, would you please read the guiding principles?
Guiding principles. Opportunity. We provide abundant opportunities to empower students to reach their full potential academically, creatively, and socially. Collaboration. We foster an environment that allows students, families, and community stakeholders to come together for the betterment of our students' education and future. Transparency. We share relevant and important information with our students, families, and the community to maintain open and productive communication.
And Superintendent Schneckloff, would you please read the goals?
Today we're going to focus on standard number one, our goal number one, enhancing student learning.
Thank you. Next up, this public hearing is for approval of the 95% plans and specifications for the Central High Tennis Courts resurface project. 95% plans and specifications are complete for the project and available for review. I'm opening a public hearing to consider any testimony if offered. So if you have something to say, step up to the microphone. Seeing none, may I have a motion?
Madam President,
Director Hayes.
I move the board approve the plans and specification for the Central High Tennis Courts resurface project as shown in the 95% plans and specifications.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in, oh, this has to be a roll call vote? Yes? Okay, I guess I'll do a roll call. Director Barnes.
My vote is yes.
Director Potts.
Yes.
Director Postian.
Yes.
Director Hayes.
Yes.
Director Beck.
Yes.
Director Yonke?
Yes.
And my vote is yes. Motion carries. Next up, student board reports. Brave the cold. Good for you.
Well, I heard that no one showed up last week, so sorry about that. Well, my name is Carlin Peterson. I'm from Central High School, and that gives me the opportunity to talk a lot because no one said anything last week. Anyways, so the Central North After Prom Committee raised $5,000. Yeah, to provide a safe space for students to celebrate following prom. It'll be held at the TBK Sports Complex as it has been for the past, I think, 3 or 4 years. But that's nice. And then the Southeastern Iowa Band Association had their like audition thing, and we had a lot of people get accepted into that very prestigious band. I don't know a lot about it, but I'll read off the names. Josie Couples in 9th grade, Esther Barfels in 10th, Logan Dines in 12th, Manny Leverage in 11th, Andrew Heyer in 12th, Spencer Hall in 10th, Ethan Peterson in 12th, Maddox Smith in 12th, Marissa Bradford in 12th, Maya Gibson in 11th, Thea Olson in 10th, Lily Swanson in 9th, Romando Rodriguez in 10th, Hyacinth Brahman in 12th, and then Paul Stover in 12th. And then we also had some Sudlow middle schoolers get accepted as well. Amaya Lee in 8th, Tilly Hayden in 8th, Theo Poleman in 8th, Luke Baldry in 8th, Alina Frederick in 7th, Liam Fleming in 8th, Isabel Lovell in 7th, and Sophia Salinas in 7th. So that's pretty cool. So congratulations to all of them.
Thank you.
I'm Lucy Brennick from West, and I just wanted to say Bluegrass wanted to announce that the U.S. News named them one of the top schools in the state of Iowa. They're also excited to celebrate that they reached over 95% for average daily attendance even during flu and cold season.
That's great. Thank you both. Director Poston?
I just want to add one thing. Lucy is a member of the Diamond Dancers dance group, and so I've had the pleasure of seeing them perform at basketball games. But Lucy, just explain a little bit about your group, would you?
Yeah, the Diamond Dancers, we practice very hard. We practice at 6 a.m. 3 times a week during state season. So we're definitely a group of hard workers. We have 12 on the team right now. And yeah, it's really fun. We do we dance at football games, and then we have like state and competition season. And then right now we're dancing at basketball games, and we're about to finish up the season. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have a presentation. Superintendent Schneckloff.
Thank you. Tonight, Lisa Baxter and Diane Campbell are going to walk us through our DCAP presentation. I know that you have worked very hard putting this presentation together, and I really appreciate all of the hard work and attention that this gets from you. So go ahead, Diane. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you very much. I just want to introduce myself, Diane Campbell, Executive Director of Learning and Results with Lisa Baxter, Director of Student Services. And we're going to provide an overview of the DCAP plan. And you do have access to the working copy. It is the initial draft that will be due the end of this week, but it is an ongoing one. So the initial draft is due Friday, but the review and final reading won't happen until June. So just want to highlight that for you.
All right, Diane, you'll run the clicker.
Yes.
All right, so by the end of this presentation, we hope you will have a good understanding of what the DCAP is. We will also provide a brief recap of implementation, goals, and connections to district initiatives. But most importantly, we want input from you. And so the question that we will ask you at the end is, what actions would make career and academic planning more meaningful and sustainable for students in our district? So the DCAP, is a district level plan, and it's required by the Iowa Department of Education, and it outlines how we will support all of our students in grades 8 through 12 and helping them find their purpose and passion after high school. Now, new this year, they added a Section 8, which is a plan to support 5th through 7th graders. And it needs to be developed by a district team, not one or two people working in a room, because we want a wide view of what we're doing in the district and what we can offer our students. And it's really meant to be a living document, something that we regularly review and update as needed. The DCAP is important because it ensures all students will have opportunity to explore careers and understand post-secondary options and then make good informed decisions. It connects our career readiness with the planning we do around coursework and academics. It promotes equity and access, and really, when done well, it strengthens the connections between the community and what the workforce is looking for and what we're offering in Davenport schools. On this slide, I want you to look at the bottom, and that is the structure of the DCAP. So I'm going to briefly touch on each section right now. So the first section is the school board review, and we have to document that we've had this meeting and given you a chance for input. And then it goes into the team members and the district statement summary, which you had an opportunity to read in the board packet. So the district team. The district team is designated by our superintendent, and we're charged with overseeing that plan. There are some minimum participant requirements. We have to have at least one school administrator, a counselor, some CTE teachers, and someone with responsibilities for work-based learning. And again, as Diane said, it must be submitted to the Regional Planning Partnership for review. So we have a core team, and we've had 3 working dinner meetings, and then we have our little breakout teams that do work and then come back again and vet it with a bigger team. And then we just keep meeting as we need to as the semester goes on. On the next page is our core team, and Lucy, you were at our DCAP meeting last week, and I forgot to update the slide, so my apologies. So we do invite student voice on these teams, which is super important, and it keeps it real for us. The responsibility of the DCAP, so we're responsible for drafting and maintaining that, ensuring implementation of the ICAP, which stands for the Individual Career and Academic Plan, and I'll talk more about that in a second. The DCAP team also has responsibility for choosing and ensuring that our career information system is selected and being used, and I'll talk more about that in a second as well. We use a product called Pathful to explore career options in our district right now. The DCAP team is just required for incorporating all the required components, integrating it with district initiatives, and then making sure we have that stakeholder alignment. So that takes us to Section 3, course planning. So Section 3 is rooted in Iowa code, and it states that students must have a 4-year course plan. So that means what are the classes that our kids intend to take that are going to support their career goals. It also says that we must review and revise it at least annually. And then it also requires us to make sure that parents are aware of the plan and know what courses their students intend to take. So course planning in Davenport schools, you know, it starts long before high school. People just think high school because we're preparing kids all along the way. But there's a lot going on by the time students are in 8th grade. So about this time each year, we work with our students to help them decide what high school do you want to attend, because you know each of our high schools offer some different opportunities for students. And once they land on that, that's when we start helping them create their 4-year plan of coursework that will meet graduation requirements and send them on their path. So we use my app. It's in Infinite Campus, and that's where all that lives. And so that freshmen, those rising freshmen, work with their middle school counselors in conjunction with our high schools. This year, our high schools came together and created one consistent district slideshow. So we all showed the same slideshow highlighting each high school to our rising freshmen. And we call that the World Tour. And so the high school counselors went to those middle schools to help promote that and help them work on those course plans based on their interests. And of course, there are other activities like our high school showcases, and even things like expos and junior achievement help kids start to land on what are their interests and what high school would I like to attend to accomplish those goals. So that's what's going on with our 8th graders. But then those current 9th through 12th graders, that advising really lives with their counselors. Where they're coming in and updating those plans, working with their counselors, making sure that they have a path post-high school that's just right for them. And then there's a way in Infinite Campus for parents to acknowledge that they have seen the course plan, though some of our high schools also try to chase it down by sending home copies, getting signatures, things like that. All right, work-based learning.
Thank you, Lisa. Lisa provided an overview of the first 3 sections, the district team members, the district statement summary, and the course planning. Section 4 moves into work-based learning, which is part of the requirement for the district career and academic plan. So the Department of Education released a new definition about a little over a year and a half ago, and it is a set of programs and policies that connect students with real work environments so that they can gain those hands-on experiences, and they became very defined in describing what constitutes work-based learning. So within that definition and the scope, which was in Senate File 2411, it really outlined that it needed to be a sustained project-based learning partnership, that it needed to have simulated work experiences with high-quality pre-apprenticeships, student learning programs, and those internships and apprenticeships. So activities like job shadows, career fairs, and business tours and employability skills are still really critical. That's still part of the entire district career and academic plan. Those fall more into the exploratory experiences that students can gain. But the work-based learning, the definition and scope came out of the Senate File 2411, and Davenport and the leaders really had and teachers really worked on that definition to make sure that we were following that Senate file. With that description, it falls in awareness, exploration, preparation, and training. And you can see from our Iowa School performance profile that we did very well with our work-based learning experiences, and that our college and career credits are here, and the work-based learning. Those are 2 indicators for the performance profile for post-secondary readiness. Then in the work-based learning, it provides an overview of percentage by program and then percentages by race. And so the star, the black star on each of these shows what the state average was and where we were within Davenport. So work-based learning is a growing area within our district and career academic plan, and being able to make sure that all students have opportunity not only for exploring careers, but also engaging in those authentic experiences.
Section 5 talks about the individual career and academic plan. So the DCAP is that district plan that supports all kids. It's that framework, and it has to have a lot of things in the menus and a lot of different opportunities and pathways to support all students. But the ICAP now drills down into how can we develop a plan just right for every student? What is their plan? What will they explore of the options? And what is their individualized roadmap? So again, it's rooted in Iowa code, and it must include at a minimum that core plan that meets requirements, graduation requirements, the identification of coursework aligned to their goals, using an approved CIS, Career Information System, and FAFSA advisement. So the ICAP, 5 essential components. The first one is self-understanding. Again, that starts in kindergarten, right when kids walk in the door. You know, what am I good at? What do I enjoy? Do I like this class? Do I like working with people? Understanding yourself. And then the second one, career information, is when we're really making connections to careers when we're in courses. So I'm in math, what careers could lend itself to having a good skill set in math? When I'm in biology, what are the applicable careers that this could really put into practice? The third thing in an ICAP is opportunities for career exploration. So really getting out in the community, doing outreach, experience trips, hands-on, expo, college fair, those type of opportunities. The fourth component is post-secondary exploration. So not only just getting kids out to our universities, community colleges, and trade schools, but helping them understand, you know, it costs money to go, and like, how do I pay for it? And what happens when you go to college? Like preparing kids for all things post-secondary education. And then that last step of an ICAP is making a decision. Like what we want every student from Davenport schools to leave with a solid plan. We want to get them to the line, graduate, but you got to have a plan as well. So this next slide talks about the career information system. So basically, Iowa has 12 approved vendors, and our DCAP may select one. And so we use Pathful. In the past, we've used a plan called Zello. Bruce might remember that. He might have been around when Zello was around. But basically, they are lessons, computerized platform that has many, many lessons that helps kids explore all things under an ICAP. So we have the ability to meet the requirement of an ICAP by just using our career information system. But we know it has to be more than that. We have to, in addition to that, be getting kids out to the community, be bringing things into the classroom. This should not be a counselor thing. This is a everybody thing. Teachers and counselors, administrators, parents, community, all working together to get kids the right path that's just right for them.
All right, now we'll move into section 6, which is the FAFSA advisement. And this is a really critical, important component of the DCAP that Iowa schools need to complete and support students with post-secondary financial readiness. So within this advisement section, it does encourage financial planning for college and career training, promotes that equity and access, and supports the outcomes for post-secondary readiness. And Iowa does work to increase that FAFSA completion rate, as well as what we're doing within the district. And we'll be able to share specific actions and activities and tasks that our teams are working on to ensure higher rates of the FAFSA completion. And this really helps to create that realistic, personalized plan after high school. So Iowa does have a FAFSA dashboard, and you can see where the state rate is right here, and then what our class rate is. And what I'll say is last year when we presented DCAP, we presented in May. It was towards the end of the year with a submission in June for our DCAP. They did have our initial submission moved up to January 30th this year, and so we don't have complete FAFSA rates for our 25-26 school year. So just want to kind of share that overview with you as well. This slide really outlines the things that some different areas that our teams have been working on to make sure that all students have the opportunity to complete their FAFSA. The financial literacy education includes FAFSA information. We have exploring funding for post-secondary education opportunities. There is a Senior 7 incentive, for example, that North High School does that includes completion of the FAFSA. The Why Apply events, the ICANN presentation. There are FAFSA completion events at each of the high schools that bring in any junior or senior that wants to work on that, and it does. They invite parents into the buildings for that. There's the FAFSA Assistance Completion Day. There are examples at West where student leaders and there's peer assistance. Where the AmeriCorps students will assist other students to complete their FAFSA as well. There's also an incentive event in April. And then one that's not on here that I just want to share too is we were in our DCAP meeting a week ago, and one of our EICC representatives were there and had offered to do a FAFSA completion night at the EICC campus, which just again is another opportunity to bring students and parents in to complete that. We know it can be challenging to be able to, and the parent guardian support is important because there's paperwork that students need to be able to get the final submission done. So those are things that are in play right now, and then we're continuing to grow those ideas with our DCAP team. And section number 7 is a requirement of DCAP, and it talks about the district integration. And, you know, we work on a lot of improvement plans across the district and in different areas, our ESSA, our IDEA, our chronic absenteeism, the Gear Up implementation plan. But all of these really work hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. And it's really implementing those best practices across all settings. And that district integration plan is really important. And so we are really working hard to make sure that we're not having this isolated DCAP plan, but making true intentional connections to other work that's happening in the district and throughout every single grade level. So I think that's really important, and there's a reason why they have Section 7 for district integration. Part of that integration does include, where the portrait of a graduate, which really lends itself beautifully with college and career readiness and students' ICAP plans and where they see themselves in the future and how they see being a communicator, a critical thinker, emotionally intelligent, self-directed, and resilient, and how that really leads to those skills that will help them be successful after high school and the next stage of their life. And Section 8, the middle school career. This is the House File 316. And I think with this section, just again, knowing that this integration is important in 5th through 7th grade. So this includes career investigation, career connections, and then the career intention work that's happening. This slide provides examples of exactly what that's talking about. So when we're looking at career investigation, it's connecting that personal understanding, that student self-awareness with their broad career pathway. Not that they have to select and say, oh, this is what I want to be, but getting students thinking about that investigation and giving the opportunities for that. Also, those career connections, expanding awareness into the active learning opportunities. I think this is a really good example of how it doesn't have to live just in the counselor world, but if I'm an ELA teacher or I'm a math or a science teacher, how can I make those career connections come to life? We purchased several years ago these career trees. They are phenomenal. Those career trees really show the different entry points. So if you're interested in a certain area, you can look at that tree and you can see what level of education or what needs to happen after high school. And then it also leads you to start thinking about the classes you need to select when you're in high school that will assist you to getting to that career path. So those career connections can happen all day, every day. And then the career intention, getting that goal setting and planning, which is so important. So the last few slides are just really a recap of the goals and the successes around the 24-25 plan. That we did have a massive increase in our job shadow experiences, and very excited about that. That we're seeing lots of students really getting in and requesting that and wanting those experiences in middle school. We also held 3 summer boot camps with Lisa's leadership for stakeholder engagement and alignment. And those were really productive and incredibly helpful so that, not only are we having our DCAP meetings throughout the year, but those boot camps in the summer really set us up for success this year with our plan. And then increasing those work-based learning experiences and just highlighting the growth that we've made with our work-based learning. Moving into 25-26, our goals are around strengthening that ICAP implementation, so that an individual career and academic plan, being able to increase student engagement and ownership of that learning. Goal 3 is to ensure that equitable access to career and post-secondary opportunities for all students, and strengthening that stakeholder communication partnership. As you noticed on one of the earlier slides with the team, it is a large team, but when we come together, they get down to work and get into the plan. And not only the plan, but making sure that we're doing the things that we said we were going to do within that very extensive DCAP plan. It's quite large. So our priorities this year around course planning, work-based learning, ICAP, FAFSA, our collaborative efforts towards goals next year to merge that DCAP with CTE Advisory Council and Comprehensive Needs Assessment. So this comprehensive local needs assessment is another one that comes around every 5 years. And that was one of the reasons they moved the date up for DCAP so that it's due January 30th, because the comprehensive needs assessment will happen in April or May, maybe beginning of May. And it is another very, very large amount of work and dedication to career and post-secondary readiness. And then all of the connected professional development. So how might we be able to make sure that all of our teachers across the board understand and know their place and their role within individual career and academic planning, as well as the district plan. Lisa had mentioned earlier the career information system. So we do have a team that is continuing to look at our career information system. We have used Zello in the past. Middle and high school this year are using Pathful, and we're doing a full review right now as we speak with a final decision in March on what that career information system will be. And there's some data on our usage for Pathful currently. So just to wrap us up, we have our DCAP workshop. That was in October, board presentation this evening. The initial submission is, it says the 29th, but it's the 30th. We're going to turn it in on the 29th. We're going to be a day early. And then June 4th is when there's scoring and feedback that will occur. So just knowing that this is a living document that we'll continue to revise and update. So with that said, that brings us to a close with the data and the presentation. And again, gathering the board's feedback is really important to us, just as another stakeholder that we can take back to our team and inform our DCAP plan. With what actions would make career and academic planning more meaningful and sustainable for students in our district?
Director Barnes.
First, thanks to both of you. This is a massive undertaking, and appreciate you guiding the people who are working on this in the district. So thank you for this. I'm not sure I've got feedback immediately, but I would like to ask a question, and that is about feedback. What kind of feedback do we get from the state when we submit something like this? What is the feedback loop? What is the cadence? What do we hear after an undertaking like this from the state?
There's a regional partnership, and that team comes together, and they're the ones that will read and provide the feedback. So there's a rubric that will be used to gain information that can be shared back with us. And it's another district that reviews our plan and gives us the feedback.
in our draft, we had some red language in there, and that was lifted from some of the feedback and rubric that we put in the plan to help us make sure we were addressing the right things.
Anybody? Director Hayes.
Thank you, ladies, as well. This question may be a little bit off, but we've changed the graduation requirements. We have the core diploma versus the regular diploma. Is there any special emphasis for students? You said all several times, but I'm wondering, how does this affect students that are settling for a core diploma to look forward to the future?
Well, our students that have a core diploma, that's the graduation requirements to get the diploma, is just getting into the line. They still need a post-secondary plan, whether that's to go into the trades, military, college. You know, part of that ICAP is that, you know, they understand their strengths and weaknesses and what is their path, their vision, for their future.
Okay, thank you.
Director Beck.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Super appreciated. I have sort of two questions. So one is sort of this addresses your question directly. So having a high school student right now, I feel like there isn't always forethought for things like standardized tests, right? So, for example, my son wasn't informed about the opportunity to take the PSAT the year before, like in May. He was told this, you know, a few weeks beforehand. And he was like, should I take this opportunity? And we were like, yes, of course. And I had enough time to buy a book so he could do some practice, but there was no like, this is how you do these things, right? I don't hear about ACT prep or SAT prep, and students are taking these exams on the Steps for Success Day. But any of these standardized tests you need to prepare for, because you can't just walk in and take them blind and expect to succeed. So that's my one piece of feedback, is to think further ahead. The second one is the FAFSA, and I think Director Barnes has mentioned this before. That thing comes out in October, and just because the deadline in Iowa isn't until, you know, June, the sooner you get that in, the better. So why are we waiting until late April to have incentives for that? We should be, because everybody should fill one out, whether they intend to go to college or not, because that money can be used for all different kinds of programs. And that's one of the big problems, is that like we don't all know that. But we should have students filling that out, you know, when it comes out, not the following spring, right? And I think that's one of the that's kind of my biggest feedback, is to think a little bit further ahead. And just a little point about acknowledging students' career plans. When I heard you say that, I thought, I don't think I've ever had to acknowledge my students' career plans or academic plan, except maybe 8th grade to high school. And I went in Infinite Campus just now, and there's a little blank box that says, I acknowledge this. And it's just there. No one's ever like told me I didn't do it. So I don't know how we can be more proactive. I mean, I'm also not the parent who is in Infinite Campus every single day either, and in all the little nooks and crannies. But, you know, there are just a few little holes here where we're not reaching the parents like we should.
Thanks for the feedback. Thank you.
I just want to address something you said about the FAFSA. LULAC is doing a really good job. We hear about it when we have meetings with them. Lupe, I don't know her last name. Oh, okay. She works with West and North, goes into the schools, has had an increase in numbers so far this year. She said central counselors are doing a really good job. So there is that outside group that she is there in the schools. and has told us that,
We're seeing an uptick in our FAFSA completion.
yeah, doing well. So just wanted to acknowledge that. No, go ahead.
All right, thank you. Next time, I promise. All right, I just wanted to piggyback off of what Director Beck had said. We've had multiple kids go through. Our final kid is in right now. And there is not a lot of parent engagement as far as when it comes to preparing, whether it be for the ACT, SAT, FAFSA. Just to kind of drive home the FAFSA points, we have children in college right now and public universities, regent universities here within the state, and they were telling their students, it's October, get this in like now. And it was reminder emails to the kids, the college student, young men and women, to get your paperwork in, because the money is not a bottomless pool. So I really want to drive home that we have to be better, maybe starting even at the spring of this year, preparing for the fall, and maybe pulling in, and I know it's hard to get parents in, especially high school age parents, but maybe start pulling in those meetings, taking that time and trying to get them in there. My only other second thing, side note, love the presentation, is that our final student, she has an IEP. So we are dealing with post-secondary, and it very much mirrors this for the post-secondary transitioning. I'm kind of interested as to how ICAP kind of comes into play with that, because that has not been any part of our conversation, and we have had multiple meetings about post-secondary very recently, like this whole month of January. So I'm kind of curious as to how that comes into play. So maybe some more information on that. But beyond that, yeah, it's really is going to need more parent information on driving that home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carlin?
I really don't want to talk your ear off or anything, but like from a student's perspective, I've been through both Zello and Pathful. I'm gonna start with that. Wait, yeah, I'll start with that. So, Zello and Pathful is kind of like, at least for my peers, has just been kind of like a, like, why are we doing this? Like, blah 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 blah. And so I don't think like the issue is the like engine itself. I think it's the information surrounding it. In guided studies, it's kind of just like, guys, get your Pathful done, guys, get your Zello done so you can graduate. And I feel like in order to get students more engaged into doing that, going at it from a this is preparing you for your future instead of a homework perspective, would be a lot more like engaging for them. And I think this just might be me because I'm going into a weird profession and I'm going to a weird school. But my top 3 college choices are not on either Pathful or Zello, and neither are my career options. So when there's a lack of like that, and maybe it's just me, but when there's a lack of that too, it's kind of just like, well, what am I supposed to do now? Because I'm supposed to do this if I want to graduate, but my intended like future decisions aren't on here. So there's also that. And I really agree with what you were talking about, and your son and I talk about this all the time in micro class. But it's just like, I think the whole like bottom line is now rather than later. I have been very fortunate to grow up with a high school teacher for a mom, and so she was like, Carlin, FAFSA open today. Have you done it yet? So I was able to do mine very early, but a lot of people don't have that advantage. So when the school's there like pushing and saying, here are these incentives, if you get your FAFSA done, you can go on to bigger things and that kind of stuff. And I also agree with the ACT like readiness, and I took the pre-ACT and I took the PSAT. Did I sign up for it a week before it happened? Maybe. but I still did it, and I also did fall victim to not a lot of ACT prep because of lack of resources, and I did get a 21 on my ACT, which isn't good, but it's not bad. But I also feel like if I was better prepared, I would have probably succeeded. I'm also just a bad test taker. Anyways, and then I really wish that I had known what DCAP was. I was receiving emails that were like, "Oh, hey, DCAP meeting is today." And I'm like, "What is this? What am I like? Why am I part of this emailing thing? I don't know what this is. I don't know anyone in the like." So I just like opted out of not going, even though like I was perfectly capable of. But since I didn't know what it was going into the meetings, I feel like if I had that like background knowledge or like this is what DCAP is doing this week, just like an email blast, then I would have probably felt more ready and been like, oh, wait, I can make it to this meeting. I'm going to go to this meeting. I'm going to get my insight. Now I know what it is. And now I'm like, well, I wish I could get into a time machine and go back because I do have a lot of like insight on this, obviously, as a student. But yeah, everyone else pretty much hit what I was talking about. But I just feel like voicing my opinions on those things too is really helpful, especially from like a graduating senior's perspective.
Very helpful.
Thank you. Lucy, got anything?
One idea, I was kind of thinking about this. I went to the last DCAP meeting and it had the red notes on like certain sections of what we can improve, right? And I was kind of thinking about, it did say a lot about improving the parent engagement. I think we did add a lot of that when we were in the meeting. I was kind of thinking about, I don't know if there's a way to send maybe like our Pathful results, because I know one of the tests we take on Pathful is like, here is some career options that would be great for you. And I think if parents were able to see, oh, here's some top 3 careers for my kids, I could talk about these with them. You know what I mean? I think my parents would love that, or top 3 colleges, or so I think that like allowing the parents to see our Pathful things would be really helpful. And like he was saying as well, I do think it's kind of hard when it's more of like a homework thing. We're not really gonna probably do it at home. So I think if we could maybe even like integrate it into our classes as well, or not just guided study, and even if it's considered as a grade too, which I think we discussed at the DCAP meeting. And I know one of the notes also said improving financial literacy. That was one of the things we were proficient on. And so we were kind of talking about, I had the idea maybe if we extended like an honors financial literacy class or something, because right now we just have a small, on the block it was just a quarter financial literacy class, and that's kind of it. And I feel like that's something that we probably need to learn a lot more about. I do feel like that was probably the most valuable class I've taken. And then I know there's classes through Pathful about that as well. So I think if we put that, used our Pathful in our classes, and especially a class like financial literacy, I think that could make better use of us paying for Pathful and stuff.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
Carlin, you got one more?
She just made me think about this, but when it comes to Pathful and honestly Zello too, with like here are your top 3 careers. I know when I took it and a few of my classmates took it, we all got like sewer repair person. And me personally, I don't think that's where my life is taking me. But I just think maybe like I don't know, the algorithm could be looked at a little bit more and how it's like made. I haven't been on Pathful in forever because if I'm going to be honest with you, we were told to do Pathful. I completed it in a day and I haven't looked at it since. But that's usually also how it goes too. So if it was something more like, here's how we're going to get you ready for your next step in your life, rather than just fill out this questionnaire and we'll tell you some things and you're going to say, I don't want to do that. And then we're going to move on, you know? I feel like it has a potential of becoming a really powerful tool in a lot of students' lives. We just need to figure out a way to really utilize it in a way that is beneficial to everyone in said scenario, if that makes sense.
Great. Thank you.
Any other board comments? Director Poston?
First of all, I appreciate the comments from the student board members. And again, the one aspect that you brought up as far as financial literacy. And when you look at this and you get everything laid out and you've got what you think is your career path, you still need that financial literacy so that you get into that career path, but you don't have the financial aspect of it, then you're going to be lost after a while. One other question I have is how does IJAG fit into this? Because IJAG is somewhat a career exploration. How does that work into this with DCAP?
Well, Miranda, who coordinates IJAG for the Quad Cities, is a member of our team, which is awesome. And so IJAG is really about another layer of support for kids to ensure that they're immersed in career development or post-secondary higher education. So it's the whole class is really designed around what is your path, what are the opportunities, what are you interested in, can I help you find work-based study, the job shadowing. It's really a class design to support kids during high school, and then that first year out of high school is that layer of support that IJAG adds.
So as far as FAFSA is concerned, is that pushed hard in the IJAG class?
That is a great question. I'm not sure how hard it's pushed or the amount. I really don't know, but we certainly can look into that.
Because those students are together for, I'm not sure, how long are they together during the day? Is it?
So I probably need a high school principal here, but I believe it's a period every day, and they can elect to take the class or not. So they've elected to take the class. So they're taught by education specialists. And you know that there are a lot of industry that supports and has connection to IJAG, which are the places that we bring in and send kids out to.
Well, I would think this would be an opportunity for that class to emphasize FAFSA, and I don't know if you can make it a requirement, but I think for those students that would be very beneficial to them.
Dr. Beck.
Just a little thing I thought of when they mentioned LULAC helping. Local colleges are going to see this as a recruitment opportunity. So you might reach out and ask if they have people who would volunteer to come run a FAFSA completion workshop, right? And there's a ton of local colleges, also some on the other side of the river. And, that gives you sort of, it's a win-win, right? For everybody. Because the more students who do this, the better off they are. And again, the earlier they do it, the better off they are. And the more we can correct the misconception that it's just for kids going to college, the better off our students are going to be.
Lucy?
One more thing, I just wanted to say I was talking with him, but at West we have 2 student leaders. I don't know how familiar you guys are with that, but they do they're super helpful with the FAFSA. They're personalized, so one of them is assigned to the first half of the senior class, the other is the other class, and they send us stuff from once a month at least about FAFSA. So like in September, we would get a note sent to our class for us saying, hey, come down, do this workshop with us, get it as soon as possible. And I know they were so helpful at our school, and it really got a lot of kids. They got a really good turnout with that. So he was saying they might have them, but they're not super active. So I'm just, I don't know. Wes is really good about that. So I think that would be a really good thing if we could get that good at all of the schools. It was really helpful for getting the FAFSA done early.
Thank you. I appreciate your input because you're on the ground floor. You see this better than we do. We used to have exploratory classes in middle school you could take. Metals and wood and foods, and we aren't doing any of that. And you expect kids just to sit down at the computer and see, oh, no, nobody wants to sit down at the computer unless they're designing computer games or something. Why are we not back to, here, this could be a career for you? And get back to really exploring, not just reading something on a computer. Just my thoughts. Anybody else? Carlin?
I just wanted to say that I agree with that. I'm a hands-on learner, and so that's like how I found um, my wanted career path. And like the Creative Arts Academy is really helpful with that. I did go through that in Sudlow. But for those kids who don't have it, we need those like hands-on classes because there are a lot more kids who are hands-on learners than like sit in front of the computer screen. So I agree with that 100%. I just want to say that.
I just want to say thank you for the presentation and congratulations to both of you. I see you are on our agenda for retirement at the end of this year, so we appreciate everything you have done for us.
Thank you.
Next up, we have board reports. Anybody have a board report? If not, we'll move on. Communication, open forum. Open forum is a time for members of the community to give input at a board meeting regarding school district issues or concerns. Individuals who want to speak, please fill out an open forum request and give it to the board secretary prior to open forum. The form is available in hard copy for in-person attendees or on the school board page of the district's webpage for those who want to participate virtually. Virtual participants must email their request to Rostenbach, Ivy, I'm not sure actually how it comes up on the email at, actually you can send it to tbren@davenportschools.org by 3 o'clock on the day of the board meeting. The board will not act on any issue presented during open forum if it was not published as an agenda item. Iowa open meeting law prohibits action on any issue that is not on the agenda. The president may set the amount of time allowed for individuals to speak, which will be 2 minutes. The board asks that no charges or complaints be made against individual employees of the district or community. Remarks that reflect negatively on the character or motives of any person will be called out of order. You will be asked to state your name and home address prior to making remarks. Please note that the board meetings are recorded and the recordings are available online. To participate virtually, and we don't have any virtually, do we? Okay. We have one request tonight. It's Kim Brewster. Please step up to the podium, state your name and address, and you will have 2 minutes to speak.
My name is Kim Brewster. My address is 2016 Lorton Avenue, Davenport, Iowa. Some of you have been educators, teachers, friends, and influencers of our children as they've gone through 18 years now with the Davenport schools. Our youngest son, Michael Brewster, is in 6th grade at Sudlow Junior High. He's been in Davenport schools his whole life, just like I have and my girls have. Michael is allergic to animals, especially dogs. In March, we went to the school and said, Michael's going to be coming to Sudlow. He wants to be creative arts. Is this going to be a problem? They said, no, we don't have a dog. Haven't had a dog in 6 years. Don't worry about it. So we signed Michael up. He's in the creative arts music program. He's in student council. He's very involved in the school. He does jazz band, orchestra, band. If you come to the next 6th grade choir concert, he's going to be the soloist. He loves Sudlow. He loves going there. Sudlow decided we're getting a dog. Michael can't be in an environment with a dog. We fought with Sudlow for the past 4 months trying to get a 504 plan so that the dog will be not around Michael. We finally, December 18th, got the school to sign a 504 plan. Since that plan has become active, they have constantly been bringing the dog around Michael. Michael has been getting sick. He's been missing school. Excuse me. January 12th, they informed us that Michael being sick because of a dog exposure means he will be unexcused from school. So now he's unexcused because they brought a dog next to him and asked him if he wanted to pet the dog, knowing that he's allergic. And it's not the handler of the dog that has the dog. It's another teacher that has the dog during the day and keeps bringing it over to Michael. We've been filing complaints. We've been doing everything it says to do. That's why you guys haven't heard about any of this. And I was told, out of respect for the board members, I needed to make sure that you guys were aware this is going on, because we have now started a petition to have the dog removed from Sunlow. The school dance is coming up on Friday. As part of student council, Michael has been involved in planning this. He has to help sell tickets. He has to help set it up. We were told the dog is going to attend the dance, so Michael cannot go. His very first dance with the Davenport Community Schools, he will not be allowed to attend because the dog gets to go. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is the consent agenda. Excuse me, I'm losing all my papers.
Madam President,
Director Hayes,
I move that we accept the consent agenda as written.
could I have a second? Second. Director Beck, thank you. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Committee reports, breaking barriers.
We were supposed to meet Friday, but due to the weather, we have to reschedule.
Legislative advocacy.
The day on the Hill was set up for today. Sarah attended, and I'm sure she'll be filing a report with us. Also, all board members, you are getting the UEN report. Okay, so take note of some of the changes that are being proposed. There's quite a few that are affecting education, so make sure you. That just came out on Friday, I believe, so look that over.
Thank you. Local School Advisory Committee.
We have not met since the last report.
Long Range Facility Planning.
Not at this time.
Policy, not at this time. Recognition. We have selected second quarter recognitions. We've gone out to 2 of them today, 2 of them tomorrow, and we've still got 1 other to schedule. So, and it is exciting to see them get this award and Heart of Excellence. They're excited. Their colleagues are excited. As one lady told us, it's kind of just changed the mood in the building. So, finance.
We met last Thursday, reviewed collective bargaining, district health insurance, reviewed our key measures and income expenses, which Kevin will be going over, and also looked at our 5-year budget.
So now, Kevin, I guess you're up.
Okay, Ivy, if you'll go to the monthly report, that one, yes. This will be brief. This is through November, and remember, July and August are a little bit weak as far as expenditures, with school starting towards the end of August. Couple things to point out. You'll notice on the revenues on the federal side, we're a little bit behind on a normal year. There was you mentioned UEN, Director Poston. The UEN CFOs were emailing around, and most districts have not received their first quarter title funds, and so they've been waiting. And it happened to come last week as there was an email chain going around. So that's lagging behind. Some quarters are like that, and this just happened to be one of those. And remember, this also includes October and November. So 5 months in, we haven't even received the first 3 months. Short 3 months, but still, they're that far behind at the DE. You'll notice at the bottom of that page, if you scroll down just a little, just right there, we have fewer revenues than expenditures. That's expected. You'll notice that our fund balance still runs about $47 million. So we're in an acceptable range So that's very normal. Also on that page, you'll see our sales tax. I wanted to point out our sales tax, our expenditures are exceeding our revenue. That is also expected. If you remember, we're starting to move dollars from our sales tax fund into our debt service as we have to pay for our first set of bonds. That's very expected. It also is a little bit, it's in negative also because when we do some of our technology purchases and some of the other things, that happens early in the year. So it's kind of a cluster of expenditures to start the year that will start to catch up a little bit as the year goes on. On page 2 of that same report, I highlighted 2 funds there. The other fund 30, which is our capital project funds, that was the initial $80 million bond that we sold that will be adding another $80 million here in a month or so. You'll see that we're down to $27 million. Again, remember, this was November. We've had January, we've had December and part of January. So you can see that it's the right time to get that second issuance of bonds as that starts to get down to zero. And then our internal service fund, that's our self-insurance fund. We've been working on renewal, and that's coming up here in the next week or so. You'll see that it's still $500,000 in the red. Part of that is because, as we were talking to True North, there's a lot of claims in July and August as in education as a whole, because people hold off on things that are going to happen throughout the year, June, July, and August. So that would be a reason why some of that's lagging behind. We keep our eye on that. That's not horrible considering we have almost $22 million in the fund. We're still in an acceptable range, so it's not alarming one bit. Any questions on that monthly report? Flipping to the other one, Ivy. Key measures. We're probably when we get in December and January, it's going to be a lot more clear, but you'll notice on here that our projected UAB is about 18.4%. It's starting to level off and come down a little bit. We expected that to happen. What I really wanted to show you is you see the 100.1% of our annual expected spend versus revenue. Remember, we always talk about leveling of. We are leveling off on our expenditures and revenues, and that's a really, you can't get much closer than that to being dead even on that. And with that, when you see the 17.1%, remember I said our solvency is going to start to come down. You're starting to see that. We keep our eye on that. It's very important that we keep our eye on that. But we were above 20%, and that's when they start saying you can't cash reserve. So you're seeing that starting to come down, and we'll get that down to a much more reasonable level, and then we'll work on leveling that off going forward. And the second page of that is just a note to say where we projected our budget. There's a lot of numbers that go into this. This is all funds combined. I'm going to keep my eye on that for now. We may have an amendment to come towards April and May, but it's pretty early for November to be worried about those numbers at this point in time. Any questions on that? Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Next up, items requiring action. Jefferson and CB West Playground. May I have a motion?
Madam President,
Director Beck.
I move the board approve the playground and replacement at Children's Village West and Jefferson in the amount of $254,408.25.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up is Smart Middle School Addition and Renovation Project. May I have a motion?
Madam President,
Director Beck.
I move the board approve the change order from Bill Bruce Builders in the amount of $44,916.66.
May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions? Director Barnes.
Josh, is this within contingency expected on this project?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Director Beck.
And just a question, I am trying to figure out why we didn't have this in beforehand, right?
Yep. So we had technology in there ahead of time. It wasn't that it wasn't there; it's that it changed over time. So think back 2 or 3 years ago, where cameras were, and AI and technology and what they do, and it's really evolved actually over that time. So, think about a camera that reads certain things. You can pick out a blue shirt walking down a hallway. It stores it in its memory. The memory gets bigger. The servers get bigger, the cameras change. So this is kind of related. Both of these change orders for Sudlow and Smart are very much the same thing. Sudlow has a few more of them, so it costs a little bit more money.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Could I have a motion on the Sudlow Middle School addition and renovation?
Madam President,
Director Beck.
I move the board approve the change order from Bill Bruce Builders in the amount for Sudlow Middle School in the amount of $59,659.80.
Second.
Director Hayes seconded. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up, discussion items, emergency responder radio communication system at North High School. Josh.
Sudlow and Smart Middle School, I'm going to start off with them, have this emergency responder radio system put into their buildings within their bids. So we never came to the board for having a discussion around these items because they were within the bid. On that project, we used a different engineering firm. On North, we utilized a different one. So this item wasn't put into the bid document to start with. So in this case, we're going to go out for bid for this responder radio, utilizing the contingency fund for North to put the system in. This radio system has nothing really to do with our system within the district that we utilize, like Motorola. It's its own system, so that, let's say, fire or the police show up to the building, their radios will work within our buildings. So as a new code requirement for the city of Davenport, they're putting these in any commercial type building that's going up of a certain size. So we're required to put this in. We're budgeting around $100,000. We're hoping it's less, but it's just a budgeting amount at this point. Any questions?
Anybody have a question?
Do you anticipate this being required for other buildings or only when there is a significant renovation?
You are spot on. I believe it's only if a significant renovation or an addition or a new building gets put on, it's going to be needed, but they're not requiring us to put in the other buildings at this time.
Thank you.
Carlin?
Tell me if this sounds dumb, but I'm just trying to understand what it is exactly, just for my own sake. So does it make the radios and like the police radios, does it make them also work with like the securities radios that already work, or does it just make them work on their own?
It's their own system, so they wouldn't want us connected into the same system because we would clutter it up. I mean, we would be talking on our own radios and utilizing what they need for emergency purposes. So it's its own system, so they can communicate within their emergency group.
Okay, that answered my question. Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Superintendent's report?
I have one report tonight, and it's happy and sad, kind of. Diane Campbell and Lisa Baxter, you saw their resignations on the agenda tonight. And the Davenport School District is extremely proud and happy that anybody gets an opportunity to arrive at the doorstep of retirement. One of the things that I see in our career is that student teachers and retired teachers, or anybody arriving at the doorstep of anything, have that same smile. Oh, I've made it. I'm finally here. Well, over the last 6 to 7 years, we have been fortunate enough to have Diane Campbell in our ethos, in our world. And if everything that has occurred over that time period, there's been a pandemic and the district has gone through some very serious times. Diane was either by our side or with us through that entire time. And it is exactly what we needed. We needed a Diane Campbell. And I tell the story all the time. When I was in college, I worked for an industrial flooring company, and the human beings that work in there work 100 hours, and they're the toughest people I've ever met in my life. Well, I've now met one person that works longer hours and harder than an industrial flooring person does. And that person's name is Diane Campbell. We're extremely happy for you and proud of you for the work that you've done for us, and you will be unreplaceable. Lisa Baxter has been in our district for a long time. She's been an administrator for a long time. And nobody embodies the heart of what it means to be a Davenport educator more than Lisa Baxter. If you are fortunate enough to be one of her mentees, or you are fortunate enough to be in her care as a principal, as a director, you were fortunate enough to have your life improved, your students' life improved, or your program improved. And she will be irreplaceable. And so I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that we are losing irreplaceable human beings, and we are incredibly happy for them and sad at the same time. So Diane, thank you. And Lisa Baxter left a little early because she has a long drive ahead of her. And so that concludes my report.
Thank you. Board requests. Anybody? Nope. Board reflections. Director Yonke.
I really enjoyed the presentation by DCAP. It's interesting as to see how this program is in place and how it's really helping the students as they're graduating, and really putting that thought in their head as far as like the future is right here and you need to start planning. Really enjoyed that. So yeah, thank you.
Director Beck.
Yeah, I would say that presentation, but particularly our students offering some feedback, really useful feedback and valuable feedback. And so we really appreciate you guys giving us the in the trenches view of what that's like. And then also to reiterate what Superintendent Schneckloss said, thank you for all of the work you've done for us and with us. And also thank you to Lisa. So,
Director Hayes.
Those are my sentiments exactly. And it was really nice with the presentation to hear the student reports, because they come from a perspective that we know nothing of. And it's kind of one thing to sit and make the plans and policies to look after you when you're actually the ones that are in it, and you provide the best information possible. So thank you for your input. And for Diane and both Lisa, it's been awesome working with both of you, and I'm happy for you, but also sad. Like TJ said, sometimes you get knowledge, institutional knowledge from AEA and here, and it's hard to replace that. You know, some people are just at the basics, learning from where you left off, and you have something that both of you can just kind of pull out your hat from years that have gone by that's been very helpful for us. So we thank you for all that you've done, but we'll really miss you as well.
Lucy.
I also just enjoyed the DCAP presentation, and I just learned about it for the first time last Thursday at the meeting. So it's cool to just know what is going on behind the scenes, because I wasn't even aware that it was a thing. So
thank you. Carlin.
I also agree with that. I'm glad that I know what DCAP is now, and I'm really hopeful for like the future. My little sister is going to be a freshman next year. That's scary. But I really hope that DCAP will be able to give her what she needs for her future career, because I had everything figured out when I was her age, but she doesn't. And I hope that it becomes a really powerful tool and resource for her. So I'm really excited to see what happens with it, even if you're not in charge of it anymore. But
Director Barnes.
Just a quick word on Diane. Diane, if people in the district are awarded frequent flyer miles for their attendance at board meetings and addressing board members' questions, you would be above platinum status. And I think that's really important to acknowledge, because oftentimes during these board reflections, we talk about the incredible transformation of our physical assets as we've made incredible improvements in our campus buildings. But I think that the true impact of the curricular innovation, curriculum adoption, and all that you've led is what is truly changing and improving this school district. And all those long presentations and inquisitions, we're incredibly grateful for all that you have done for the district.
Director Potts.
I would comment once again on the DCAP presentation. The need to create nimbleness in kids today, because they don't stay in the same job. They don't stay in the same career. You know, my last three that went through Central, I can't keep track of the number of jobs they've had. You know, I mean, you know, I think when I was a kid, you know, I wanted to be a garbage man. I wanted to be a paleontologist. My mother thought I was going to become a ditch digger. I became a teacher. You know, it's so important to expose students at an early age to different possibilities.
Thank you, Director Poston.
Well, as Director Potts just said, that this whole career exploration is so critical for these kids, and they do have to get started on it earlier in their education. I want to thank the student board members for their input. It's greatly appreciated. And I want to thank Diane Campbell and Lisa Baxter for their years of dedication.
Superintendent Schneckloff.
I would agree that career exploration is very important. When I started my career, I was going to be an FBI agent, but then I found out people shoot at them. So I quickly backed out of that. But I love the intentionality of making better connections. So that next step for us was widely heard, and really got to put our nose to the grindstone on how we're going to figure out how to make better connections for students, get parents more involved, and understand the completion of FAFSA is really important. We had a student this year who was not planning on attending any college and is now knows that college is virtually free for that student, and has unlocked an entire world for themselves. And so there is a lot of power, and we have a lot of data that shows that if students complete FAFSA and take the ACT, their likelihood of graduating to and through a certificated program goes to the roof. So how do we do a better job of that was loud and clear, and I'm very excited to figure that out.
Thank you. First of all, I can attest to the fact that Diane is the first person, maybe after the custodian, in this building, because when I go to the Y super early, she's the only light on in the building. So, and then when I leave at night, when it's late, she's still here. She is very dedicated and puts in a whole lot of time. Lisa was a principal at a building that I taught into, so I can say, you know, did a great job. So I've worked with both these fine ladies. Josh, I appreciate the fact that you looked into like the cameras. You could have just said, yeah, we'll take the old ones that we had, but we're getting the better, the best, you know, and looking ahead. Things change a lot. The DCAP, that also was good because, I mean, 5-10 years ago, you said somebody, oh, you can work in AI, and then it gone, a what? You know, and so life is changing fast, and so you need to see what all is out there, and so I think that's a great opportunity for kids to get to see lots of things. With that being said, Director Potts, could I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Director Potts, could I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned. We do have a closed meeting after this.